I told him I wasn't angry. I was a little disappointed, but he did own up to it.
I've seen it play out in a good way.
Yeah.
Like, I think you're more of the nice guy.
Yeah.
You let them win. If I know something's going to happen and I don't intervene, I'm trying to get them to be responsible for their actions.
In today's episode, we're going to talk about if you really want your children to grow into successful adults, start saying no to these 8 things. So let's find out what we will say no to our kids if we want to be successful. For the record, we do have 2 kids.
In elementary school.
Yeah, 11 and 8.
Yes.
Yeah, that was a pop quiz. Our wealth building journey started us talking about our kids and what their future is.
Yeah.
We've self-studied, read books, built wealth.
I think, the biggest thing was we didn't want them to be in as much debt as I was going into this relationship. We were able to figure it out, right? But we didn't want that to be... There's enough problems in the world, there's enough heartache on a day-to-day basis that we didn't want that to be the one thing that stops them from being happy people. Yeah,
so fast forward to today, we've now talked to our kids plenty about what we do.
What we've learned.
Yeah, what we learned, and that hopefully that they grow up to be successful adults. So we'll see if this list kind of matches some of the things that we're doing here. So number 1, the one thing that we should say no to is instant gratification.
Mm-hmm.
So let's give an example here. We go to the store, the mall. I think about our daughter that one time we went at the mall. She saw something, a toy, one of those kiosks that she wanted.
Oh gosh, yeah.
And we had to let her know, like, 1, you have something very similar like that at home,
right? And
that's really overpriced, and we know you're not going to use it. I think we were at another event, right? We have experience of this happening before,
I think
right?
It's in her personality to, I don't know, like seize the day, seize the moment, which is great when it doesn't mean wasting money. Yeah.
So we've actually paused our kids and we've told them no. And the idea of, 1, you just don't get whatever you want immediately. Mm-hmm. You actually need to first to understand, is that quality kind of stuff?
Right.
Is it worth waiting for as well?
I think even we've even talked to them, like we're open, like, what toys do you want? Not that you're going to get it today or I'm going to order it right now, but what do you want? Or what do you want? Not just toys, but, what lessons do you want to take? We need to put this in our budget. We need to save up for it, right? So that takes time. That takes planning. It's not instant. Mm-hmm. And so in certain ways, we have said no to instant gratification without saying, no, you can't have that. And I think we've mostly said, not now, right? Or are there alternatives?
The next one here is overindulgence. I don't think we've ever put our kids in that certain situations. Mm-hmm. I think the kids are always... They mimic their parents. So for us, once again, being very simple people, we do our best to make things last as long as possible. Mm-hmm. We don't get an excess of love.
Yeah, I think we haven't been in this situation because we're so vocal on, like, they have a tablet, right? And we kind of teach them responsibility with this thing. Right? It's like, we bought you this, not because you necessarily wanted it, not because you needed it. We bought you it because we wanted to. And then they want to take it to school. It's like, well, you have like a school issued tablet.
Yeah.
Now you want to bring your personal one to school. And I said, what do we tell them? Like, if it gets broken on accident, we're not replacing it. And to me, that falls into overindulgence. Just like, well, if it breaks, we can replace it. Yeah. Like, sure, whatever.
Well, in this article here, it's also talking about getting the latest gadget. One, our kids don't use cell phones. However, when it comes to toys, they don't really follow trends. If anything, they try to make
yeah. So what's funny is every year the toy catalog comes in.
Oh yeah,
right?
yeah.
The Target catalog comes in. All like even Costco has like end of the year toy sales and whatnot. And I just find it fascinating to watch. Mostly our daughter. She'll just sit back and look at this catalog, and she'll be like, "Ooh, mommy, look at this." Ooh, mommy. She's not necessarily asking for them.
No.
But it helps me get an idea of like what kinds of toys she's interested in, so that when the time comes, it's her birthday, or I just feel like being nice. Like I know kind of what she's looking at. So, are they trendy? No, but
it's very funny because that magazine is a form of advertisement to kind of get that parent or that kid saying, "Hey, I want this. You should get that." Our kids more look like a book. They're like, "Hey, look at that." So, and once again, I think we've really downplayed it because we are not the kind of person who always buys things immediately, right? Instant gratification. I mean, they just followed our lead from there. Yeah. So next one here is excessive screen time. So in today's day and age, every kid has a tablet. When we grew up, I mean, we didn't even have cell phones back then.
No.
We had to pay for long distance calling. I mean, that's how things have changed.
You got 50 text messages a month. You better use those wisely.
After hours, right? Now, technology is so inexpensive that it's at your fingertips that our kids don't even...
It's easy.
Yeah. Our kids don't even know what a commercial is. That's how on-demand things are. However, for our kids, we've actually set strict limitations on them.
But there's a reason.
Yeah.
I mean, we weren't always like that. I mean, just to get dinner on the table, sometimes it was like, put on a show. Oof. Give me 30 minutes to put dinner together. Just put on a show. But then, like, trying to peel that child off the television or off the tablet or whatever we used at that time to, like, now, okay, dinner's ready. Let's eat. Yeah. I mean, it was like a whole different kid. And I think we realized after, like, a handful of times, we're like, there's a pattern. It's not the hungry kid who's acting like this. It's the TV kid. Yeah. And so I think even before they went to school,
before they went to kindergarten, we do not allow screen time on the weekdays.
Very, very specific events that they know they can use their
when they're on vacation, when we're driving the road, it's totally acceptable.
Right.
But when it comes to, like, on the weekdays, they have homework to do or chores to do or something. Or
we can play board games. I mean, it makes us, it takes away from our time, but I mean, it's still valuable time spent together as a family. Yeah. And so we're more than happy whenever our kids, like, pop open the little box and, like, can you play this game with me? Of course.
Yeah, we haven't built into them some kind of addiction where they're so used to it, right? That...
Yeah, I think the kids even know, like, on the weekends even, when they say, Mom, can I go on my tablet? Like, they still respect us. They ask us permission to go on their tablets because I think they've run into it enough times where I catch them and I'm like, did you ask a parent if you could be on your tablet right now? And they're like, no. So now they know. They got to ask. And the answer on the weekend is typically going to be yes. Set a timer for 20 minutes.
Yeah, exactly. It's not an all-day thing.
Right.
Yeah.
And I'll even catch them sometimes, not all the time, where they've actually set the timer on their own for 20 minutes. Yeah. And I'm like, that's great. And then take a break, read a book, play outside, do something.
I think there was a certain occasion, right, where we said, okay, we'll allow a movie, right, during the weekday. Mm-hmm. And then our son was like, hey, Mom, can we do tablets too?
I was like, don't push it. Yeah. I was like, movie or tablet? Yeah. Pick one.
Okay, number 4, unhealthy habits. So this has nothing to do with tech, but it's actually talking about, like, food here. It says, whether it's eating too much junk food, staying up late, or skipping physical activities for video games, these little things can add up and have significant impact on the overall well-being. So we very, very much try to eat healthy. There are some kinds of junk foods in our house that we are mindful, because I think the example that you gave is when you were younger, you tried to take care of your teeth because you didn't have an insurance.
Oh yeah.
So you kind of always impart that to the kid, that you need to make sure that you brush your teeth for X amount of minutes, or don't forget to floss, or so. They take that to heart there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think they're just harping on just the junk food. I think it's the actual habits themselves, right? So eating late at night, it makes it harder to fall asleep. Your mind is wired. I mean, being a person of like sciencey background, the brain is very fascinating, and every time I learn something about the brain, I'm like, this applies to you guys too. Your brain is growing. You need to have enough sleep, you know? And so I'm like, I'm not just trying to shove you in your room for no reason. Like, you learned a lot today at school, I hope. So let's give your brain the time it needs to store away all those things that you've learned, and, you know, have another great day.
Yeah. So the next one here is disrespectful behavior. So if you want your kids to be successful, make sure to check their disrespectful behavior. Kids are kids. They will throw tantrums. And I think as parents, I
think tantrums is different than disrespecting, like talking back. I think tantrums, to me, I've noticed they were mostly when, like, they're hungry, they've lost patience, but being disrespectful is like
talking
just
back,
being rude and having no consideration for who they're talking to. I mean, we've caught our kids speak to grandma a certain way, and we've kind of had to be like, hey, you know, that's not acceptable. And they understand, like, okay, there's a line, and I crossed it.
Yeah, what I was trying to get at with the tantrum, especially the non-tantrums, that kids need parenting. So tantrums, there could be associated with hunger or like a lack of sleep. But as parents, we don't give up on our children, that we try to push them back on the right path. This also comes with disrespectful talk. Kids are always going to push their boundaries. It's our job to let the kids know what those boundaries are, and point them in the right direction. And number 6 here, always winning. Oh boy.
Oh yeah. So I'm really good at saying no to always winning.
Yeah. So.
And I think I've seen it play out in a good way.
Yeah.
Like, I think you're more of the nice guy.
Yeah.
You let them win.
Yeah.
So there's this game. If you haven't played it, Othello. It's a 2-player game.
Yeah.
Very easy. And I never play to lose. And I tell them that. So whenever they ask me, Mom, can you play Othello with me? I ask them, are you ready to lose? Not because I want to make you lose. I'm just saying, if you lose, are you ready?
Yeah.
Because this is a game. And I tell you what, not 4 times later, I mean, the kids don't give up. They want to win.
Yeah.
They don't give up. They might feel upset that they lost, but they don't give up. Our daughter beat me fair and square. Yeah. And I told her, I am so proud of you. Yeah. You beat me. Look, count it up. You got more tiles than I did. And I think it just makes the winning that much sweeter. Yeah, and not like to disrespect me, or like I'm going to beat you. Like, it's not like that. It's like, how are you going to learn how to play the game if you don't lose?
Yeah.
You don't know where you made your mistakes.
It's actually a very good life lesson as well. Because we're talking about being successful, because you can't win everything in life.
Right.
And
what are you going to do? Cry and complain and hope that whatever went wrong is going to turn itself around because you cried? Dealing
with problems or challenges is the key to having a growth mindset.
Right.
Understanding the loss.
It's gonna happen.
Yeah.
Right.
You can't always win. So that is actually a very important thing to teach the kids nowadays, because there's always that what's it called? That participation award.
Right.
And so
I mean, I don't want to come out here and look like the meanest mom on the internet, but I will, during the game, I will say, you know, if you put it there, I will help the children. Like, even if it means I'm going to lose, If I see them struggling, I'll say, what do you think about this spot right here? What happens if you put it here?
Yeah.
You know, like I try to work with them.
Yeah, so the next one here is avoiding difficult tasks. And so our kids now, we talked about are 11 and 8, and we have them actually helping with chores.
Yeah.
I mean, I really praise you for kind of getting them on them. Our son actually is very willing. I remember he wants to take out the trash, and the kids now the laundry. Can you imagine what it took for them to kind of get there to like, hey, now you say it like yesterday. It's like, hey, go get your clothes, separate them out, XYZ, and there's no pushback. Now they understand it because
it's no longer a difficult task.
Exactly. I
But
mean,
once
it's
you
all
learn
learning,
it,
right?
yeah. I don't think there's anything too difficult as long as you're willing to learn. Of course, the first time you do anything, it's hard. The first time you learn how to drive, it's nerve-wracking, it's hard.
It kind of goes back on the parents too. Do the parents put in the effort of being patient enough to work with them?
Right.
I remember that one time when they learned how to dust their room and then vacuum it later. There was so many places they had to learn where to dust.
Right.
And they didn't do it correct. I mean, quote unquote correct. Now they do it enough now on a regular basis that they come to me like, hey, Dad, there's not a lot of dust on this thing.
Yeah.
And then you tell them it's because you do it so consistently that it builds up. So for them, like these light bulb moments for them.
Well, and I think it also gives them, I mean, this has nothing to do with here, but it gives them a sense of pride of their space.
Yes, yeah.
Because, like, this past weekend, I watched our daughter dust her room, and she's taking great care in dusting all her little figurines and whatever else, and then she can dust the little tops of her little cabinet there, and you know, it gives them a sense of pride. So while it was difficult, and like, you know, there was a lot of, oh, I don't want to. Do we have to? And I'm like, you're old enough and you can reach, so why not?
Yeah. The last one here is absence of responsibility. So if you want your kids to be successful, have the kids to have a sense of responsibility. I remember there was a conversation that I had with our son where he did something that actually disappointed me, and I pulled him aside and we had to talk about it. And if anything, I did praise him because I asked him about it, and he immediately apologized. He didn't try to defend it or make excuses. He actually took responsibility. I was very proud of that. I told him I wasn't angry. I was a little disappointed, but he did own up to it. So I think kudos to him for being mature in that moment there. But
I think it also is, you know, he wasn't afraid of you.
Yeah.
Right. So you guys, and we've built this relationship with these kids that, you know, not everything's going to go the way either of us want all the time, but we have to be willing to talk to each other about it and work on it together, you know, like, and I might tell them I'm upset. Like, maybe I'm not screaming, but I'm upset. And, you know, I don't understand why this X, Y, and Z happened. Help me understand.
Yeah.
You know? And so that when something happens in the future, they're quick to be honest with us.
Yeah.
And I think we've even had situations where like, you might as well tell me the truth now, because if I find out you're lying, it's going to be worse.
Yeah. I think there's moments where our kids now are very honest with us in a respectful way, that they don't try to lie to us. There comes a lesson from there when we talk to them, and then after the kids go to bed, we reflect on it. It's like, well, I'm glad our kids didn't try to lie to us, because lying just leads to more lying. So our kids have matured, and I think we also as parents are doing our part for them, where one can trust us, and that they understand our role is to help them and guide them.
I think the hard part is knowing that they're about to make a mistake and not intervening. For me, if I know something's going to happen and I don't intervene, I'm trying to get them to be responsible for their actions, you know? So if they miss something, like they're supposed to be somewhere and they missed it because they weren't ready, I say, well, you have a watch. You know what time these events are happening. So, and now I feel like I hope it sticks. Like, I'm not trying to say you live your life according to a clock, but some things in this world are appointment based,
Yeah.
right? And so you know what time you need to leave the house to go to school. You know what time you need to leave the house to go to swimming lessons. How much time do you need to get ready? Like those things. It's like, okay, now we're rushing. So did we learn something here?
So I'm going to put it towards our audience here. Which of these 8 things do you agree with? Is there something that you will put your foot down and say, this is a no-fly zone, this does not fly in my house? Or is there something in here that you actually feel like you kind of wish you improved on? Let us know in the comments below. Have yourself a great day.